Hi, this is Kevin. Welcome to my tutorial on creating an Anaconda virtual environment or virtual env as they're often called. And uh, so for whatever course you're in, I'm going to have a set of instructions that have to do with which versions of things to install. Okay, and right now we're just about to start the spring semester of 2024, and one of the courses I'm teaching is this IS 430. It's a first course in programming using Python, and so I really use the virtual environment that we use for that course. Uh, I typically have everybody for all the courses create that as the first one that they create with Anaconda. If in your course you're going to use another one as well, I'll have a separate tutorial on that, and it'll be a separate link in the weekly schedule. Okay, so here we're going to be doing creating an Anaconda virtual environment. Okay, and there's a couple things that we need to know. First of all, what are we going to call it? Okay, so this one, which we use for this IS 430 course, and we use in several other courses as well. So create it if you don't already have one. It's called E4. It's short for environment for trainer Python course. It's in all lowercase. The words are separated by underscores. In Python, this is called snake case. Okay, and this is uh, snake as in Python is a snake. Maybe the combination of the lowercase and the underscores is kind of snaky looking. I don't know, but that's what we call it. And we're all going to call it exactly the same thing because when you submit your projects, if you've used the same name for your virtual environment as we, the graders, are going to be using, it takes us less time to configure the project to grade it. Okay? So you might think, well, I could probably call this anything I want. Well, that's not the good citizen thing to do. The good citizen thing to do is to call it E4 Trainer Python course. Okay? And virtual environments are a collection of Python packages, okay, which gives us access to all the parts of Python that we want to use and the proper versions of them. And in the spring of 2024, what we're putting into this E4 Trainer Python course is version 3.11 of Python, Jupyter, which is used for Jupyter notebooks. That's the name of the Jupyter meta package, which includes a bunch of other Jupyter packages. NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn. So we're going to install all of those. Now, if you're doing this in a later semester, you might find a longer list or a different one. Um, well, do that one. Okay. So that's where that's going to come from. All right. So if we've done the prior tutorials, we should have an icon in our we should have an icon in our dock for terminal, the command line program. So let's open that. Okay. And we should also have access to somewhere the Conda cheat sheet. And again, I've put a copy on my desktop, and maybe you have done that too. but in the weekly schedule for this activity, you should be able to find a link either to open the cheat sheet or to download one. Okay? And we're going to be doing we're going to create a Conda virtual environment, and then we're going to install a bunch of software, and then we're going to check what's in it. We're going to do a lot of things. And where does how do I know what's in the commands? Well, because I can read the Conda cheat sheet just like you can. Okay, so that's where all this is coming from. Okay. All right. So if you want to know which virtual M's you have, you can do conda env list. Okay. And I didn't spell conda right. Conda env list. And there we are. We just have the base environment. So we don't have an E4 trainer Python course. What if we did? And what if it was old? Okay. Well, in the cheat sheet, okay, uh, there is a way to, let me get this to come down. There is a way to remove a package. And let me find it here. I think it's on page 2. Conda remove. Yeah. Delete environment by name. So let's say you already had one, okay? Or let's say we have one and it seems to be damaged in some way, okay? We can just remove it with we could type conda space remove space dash n space E for trainer Python course space dash dash all, and it would ask us to confirm it, but it would get rid of it. And then if we did a conda end, it would be gone. Okay. One of the reasons that we're not using Anaconda Navigator anymore is that never successfully removed a Conda environment that we wanted to get rid of. But the Conda command line seems to do that quite well. Okay, but we don't need to do that now. So if we want to create a new Conda env called E for Trainer Python course, we can type conda space create space dash n for name space E for Trainer Python course. Okay, so spell trainer with an OR. Use snake case. Okay, and enter. And just about everything it does, it asks us to confirm with a Y enter. Proceed. Y enter. Okay. So there we are. So if we want to clear the screen, we can type in clear. That's how you do it on macOS. And let's do a conda env list. Okay, and now we have the base and E for Trainer Python course. Now, are we using E for Trainer Python course? If we want to install things into E for Trainer Python course, we have to activate it first. Whatever's activated is what's in parens on the left side of your command prompt. And that's the base one. So how do we switch to E for Trainer Python course? Well, we use activate. Conda space activate space E for Trainer Python course. And then you see that come up in the parens. Now, are there any packages in it? No, there are not. Well, how can we confirm that? Well, we can, once we've activated a virtual env, we can type conda list, and it lists the packages, and as you can see, there are no packages here. Okay, so again, in the current semester, we're going to do Python 3.11 and then Jupyter and then NumPy and Pandas and Matplotlib and Seaborn. So let's try Python 3.11. Okay. So we're going to say conda. Well, we have to click in the window first. Conda space install. Okay, and then you give the name of the package Python, and if you want a particular version, and we do, we went 3.11, we just say equal sign 3.11, enter. And that's going to do the usual thing where it's going to look for what we've asked for, and then it's going to prompt us to confirm. So it looked for it. It found all these packages that it says we need for Python 3.11. One of them is Python 3.11.5. And these other things are dependencies. These are other packages that need to be installed with Python 3.11. Okay, and it's going to install all of them, so we're just going to give it a Y enter to confirm. And again, how fast this actually happens is really going to depend on your machine. But that went pretty fast. Okay, so let's do clear. And now let's do conda list. And there they are. And if we look at Python 3.11.5, that's just what we want. Okay, what was next? Well, the next one is a package called Jupyter, which is actually a special kind of a package called a meta package. So that installs a whole bunch of Jupyter notebook related packages, and in a lot of our courses, especially IS 430, we work with Jupyter notebooks. So let's install Jupyter. So we're just going to say conda install Jupyter. Jupyter has a Y. The PY is for Python. Now we're not going to say equals a certain version because we're just going to take the latest version that it has. So we're just going to press enter. Jupyter, enter. And again, it's going to do some thinking about what needs to be downloaded and installed. Well, it's already downloaded, I guess. So what needs to be installed? So Y, enter. And now it's going to do the install. Again, how long this is going to take is really dependent upon your machine. Mine's pretty big and pretty fast. Excuse the ringing telephone. And we'll see how fast this goes. It takes longer than the Python because there are more packages. So we're just watching that get done, and then it comes back and that's installed. Okay, and again, if we did a conda list, you'd see we have a bunch of packages. And if we go over and look, these are always in alphabetical order. So if we go up and look around J, you can see we have a bunch of Jupyter related packages, and these are the things that implement the Jupyter notebook ecosystem. Okay, that's just what we want. Okay, that's good. And I like to do a clear because I like my screen to be clear. So the next one is NumPy, numerical Python. So let's just do conda install NumPy. Okay, and there's a bunch of packages, so give it a Y, enter to confirm. And what's interesting is here we're actually downloading packages. There are some that have to be further downloaded and others that are not. So that's going to affect how fast things install on your machine. Okay, and then after NumPy, we want pandas. Okay, so let's do conda install pandas. And that's just for Python packages. So let's give it a Y, enter to confirm. Okay, that one's back already. And the next one is the plotting package for drawing graphs from mathematical data. It's called matplotlib. So we're going to do that one. So let's do conda install matplotlib, enter. That's a bigger list, but we'll give it a Y, enter to confirm it. Okay, and there's this one more. There's one called Seaborn, which is another plotting and visualization package that's a little fancier than matplotlib. Seaborn. So let's do a conda install Seaborn. Only one B in Seaborn. Enter. And we're going to give it a Y, enter to confirm it. And that should be all here. Okay. So again, you want to make sure that you did all of these. Okay, so find your sheet for the virtual env that you're trying to create and make sure that you did all of the package installs. Okay. Now, let's do just a little testing so we can see that we really have these things installed. Okay, it's not going to be perfect testing, but we'll do some. So first of all, I'm going to do a clear. And now we're up at the top of our stuff. So if we properly installed a Python, we ought to be able to just type the Python command and it should run Python. And here we can see it's running the Python interpreter, Python 3.11.5. That's great. That's what we wanted. Okay, and now we're at this thing called the REPL. it's its own little Python interpreter command line. REPL stands for read, evaluate, print loop. And we use it a little bit in my Python course. It's not a whole lot. And when we're in the REPL, or when we want to quit the Python interpreter in any context, one of the things we can do is that we can call a function called quit, Q-U-I-T. And because it's a function, it ends with a set of parens. So paren, and then enter, and then we're out of it. Okay, and what else did we install that would be easily tested? Well, uh, Jupyter Notebooks is installed, and again, Jupyter Notebooks are kind of fun, so it'd be interesting to just take a quick look at them. So we ought to be able to start the Jupyter Notebook server by typing Jupyter, Jupyter, space notebook, spelled the usual way, enter. And we're going to see it fire up the Jupyter Notebook server. There it is. Okay. And then it is going to open up our browser, okay, and connect it to the Jupyter Notebook server, and there we are. So let's just create a Jupyter Notebook. You might not know about these, but you can still follow along. Okay, so let's go over here to the right-hand side, the upper right-hand side, and click on New. Pick Notebook. Okay, and now it's called Untitled. And .ipynb is the file extension for Jupyter Notebooks. Now, so we've created it, but we've not opened it. So let's double click on it to open it. And it opens in a new tab. And every notebook has a particular language. The ones that we're going to be using use Python 3. So, and there's this thing called the kernel that runs the Python interpreter for us. So we have to select Python 3. What else could we have selected? It looks like we don't have anything else installed. So a Python 3 had better be what we want. And click select. Okay, and here we've got a Jupyter Notebook, and Jupyter Notebooks have a bunch of cells. Okay, and if you want to create a new cell, let's say what's the easiest way to do that? Use the plus icon in the toolbar. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 cells, and each cell is either a documentation cell or it's a code cell. In our case, since this is a Python Jupyter notebook, it's the code cells are going to have Python. And how do we turn something into a documentation cell? Well, up here there's a drop down where we either pick code or this thing called Markdown. So Markdown's the standard for a documentation authoring language. And if we just want to put a title, we can put one $, a space, and call this my first Jupyter notebook. Okay, well, that looks good. All right, and then what if we want to render that so it looks proper? Well, there's a little play button up here. So we're just going to play that. And it rendered it. Okay, if we double click on that cell again, it'll turn back into the source code. All right, so that looks good. Now, what if we what if we didn't want to click the play button? How can you get this to render into its end form? Well, when you're on any cell and you want to execute it, you can click in the cell and press Shift and then Enter, and that will execute the cell. And when you execute one of these markdown documentation cells, well, it just renders the text. Uh, what about a code cell? So we clicked in this second cell here, and you can see from the drop down that it's a code cell. Okay, a code markdown raw. We don't really use raw in my course, but code we use. And let's just do the Python print command. So we could say print left paren apostrophe hi comma mom exclamation point, okay, and close the parenthesis. So that's a Python print statement. It's going to, oh, you know what? Before we close the parenthesis, we had to have another apostrophe. The apostrophes are acting like quotes around the string hi mom. And then we're going to close that. Okay, and now we want to execute this. So if we go up and run the play button, it'll run that code and print hi mom. Or again, what we could do is we could click in that code cell and we could press Shift and Enter, and that would execute it again. So we don't use notebooks in all my courses, but we use them in nearly all my courses, and so it's kind of nice that we have that installed, and you know how to find your way to it. Okay. So one more thing that we could do is sometimes you might want to change the name. Where this one's called Untitled. Okay, so we can click on that name and we could actually turn it to, I typically name mine using the Python snake case. So all lowercase, words separated by underscores. So I just would call this one my underscore first underscore Jupyter underscore notebook. Okay, and we're going to click rename, and there you go. All right, now I'm going to close this tab. It'll usually ask me if I really mean it. Yeah, I really mean it. Okay, and this one still says untitled, but it changed the name now. Okay, that's good. There are a lot of ways to stop the Jupyter Notebook server. So when you're on this kind of main navigation panel for Jupyter, there is a tab for running, okay? And you could actually come in here and you could shut down a particular kernel for one of your notebooks, or you could shut down the whole server. The other thing that you can do is you can just close the browser and that leaves the server running. But you come back here to the command line window and there's no prompt. And that's because the server is using up the command line window. So you click in the window and you stop the server by using the Control C, and then it'll ask you, do we want to shut down this Jupyter server? And we'll say, oh, I wasn't fast enough. So I didn't answer fast enough. So now I have to do Control C again, and then Y enter. So you got to be fast. You didn't used to have to be this fast. Okay. So again, you can see we're in E for a trainer of Python course. So Do you need to deactivate this E4 Trainer Python course? No, you don't have to. Okay, but what if you wanted to? Okay, well, you could say conda space deactivate space E4 Trainer Python course. Oh, deactive didn't work. So when I have when I type something wrong, I usually will, well, the easiest thing here is just to retype it. Conda deactivate E4 Trainer Python course. And there we go. No, it didn't work. Argument error. Deactivate does not accept arguments. Oh, of course. It doesn't because it knows what's active. Conda deactivate. Well, I'm embarrassing myself here. There we go. It went back to base. Okay. And again, we all can learn, right? And here is the Conda cheat sheet. All right. So we've created our virtual env. All right. Again, this is the one that we use in IS 430. In the spring of 2024, we're also going to be using this one in IS 597 MLC. But whatever course you're in, create E for a Trainer a Python course, and then if we have further virtual envs for you to create, we'll tell you, and we'll tell you which packages should be in it and what it should be called. So having said that, I'm going to sign off and say bye for now.